Hi everyone, this is Nicholas Phillips here. This is going to be my agency interview with the Laurel Public Library, part of the Seminar in Applied Behavioral Sciences course. So we're going to first begin just looking at a brief description of the organization. The Laurel Public Library provides several services beyond just, the stereotypical books, computer usages that a lot of people associate libraries with. Whenever this is community outreach, they do a lot of addressing the social determinants of health, whether it's health inequities, poverty issues, because Laurel, Delaware is the poorest town in Delaware, according to Gail Bruce, who is in charge of the Laurel Public Library. They do all kinds of other stuff, such as passport and notary services, genealogy and historical research, healthy living resources, and they also have adult and youth specific services. They have one section of the library that's more catered towards like adult services, whether that's like like the book side of it, or even like professional side, like helping people do like job and career searches and all of that. The youth side's more, they have like a nice little child section where kids can, just engage in like just in a comfy and safe setting where they can just read books and engage their mind in all kinds of literature. Um, yeah. Looking at the organization of the staff and decision making, this is from Gail Bruce, our library director at our public library. The state and local government, they dictate different policies that the library can do. The library's board, however, they dictate the financial decisions of the library, so how much, stuff is being allocated for different programs and stuff like that, whether it's new technology. The library director then, just Bruce, she supervises the day to day and reports back to the board. Some other important areas, this includes assistant librarian director, adult services director, youth services director, and the circulation lead. I'm going to move on a little bit here, discuss the missions and values of the library. Just reading off the mission statement that a Laurel Public Library has, their mission it really is to improve the quality of life in the community of Laurel. They provide a safe and inclusive, welcoming space where anyone can pursue reliable information and personal enrichment. So, going above and beyond what will associate with what a traditional library is. They have free access to different library programs, services, and materials. It's available to all patrons, as is assistance from library staff trained in the use of traditional and emerging information technologies, and this can be found on the website associated with the Sussex County Department of Libraries. Some of the values also listed on the website include professionalism and courtesy and service, meeting the educational, informational, and recreational needs of patrons, maintaining a safe atmosphere, and also the enforcement of rules with respect to staff and patrons because they do get a lot of people that tend to break it, so they have to enforce it, whether that's not allowing them back in the library again or even calling the police. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna briefly talk about my meeting that I had with the library director, Gail Bruce. I met with her around 10 a.m. on August 8th, 2024, in the office of in her own office at the Laurel Public Library. I put her contact information right there. Um, she told me about her career history. She started out actually as a teacher's assistant at Salisbury Christian School in Salisbury, Maryland. She became a circulation assistant and then a circulation lead for a few years after starting in the library. She kind of worked her way up, through the ladder of the library. She became a youth services director for quite a few years, actually. But then for the past 5 years has been in her library director role. She's been in that role with the grant funding. She's currently working through her grant funded master's degree in library science after obtaining her bachelor's degree in business administration from Wilmington University. Some of her just she does all kinds of stuff. Her none of her days look the same, according to her. But some of the main responsibilities that she has includes payroll, supervising staff, working on different funding opportunities and grants, interviews. This includes interviews with potential employees, interviews with just the community itself, board meeting documentation, so she can type up notes to give up to the board for financial purposes. Also building maintenance, but the building is a bit old, so she has to constantly meet with different people, whether it's plumbing, carpentry, whatever the case may be, to make sure the building is staying up to code so it's safe for all patrons. Some of their main sources of revenue and funding, well, they're an independent library, so that's kind of limited. they have some allocation of funds at the state and local levels. However, most of it kind of just derives from hopefulness of individual donors. It exists. They have an annual repeal fund that they rely heavily on. They get a lot of their money off of that. They do have a couple individual donors who are quite wealthy and do fund the library very well, which is they do rely on it because they don't get a lot of money. They are a nonprofit, and since they're independent, they're even worse than some of the county libraries, for example. They have a self-trust fund that they got in decades ago. She told me that they're still using, and they still make a lot of money off of that. Then they kind of have to take their own initiative to make money. They have a snack stand that unfortunately Town of Laurel doesn't always treat it the best, so they don't always make money off of it, but they do have it out for people. Um, they also have Black Party where the library can get the free kind of like the free advertising where they can kind of get that revenue for working with other different organizations. It's a very great event they have there going on. So let's shift to talking about evaluation studies in the library. The evaluations that get done here, they're more used to gauge effectiveness of community outreach programs. Like I said, libraries have changed. They're not just the books and all that, and they're not just even computers now. They're really evolving to make sure they're meeting the needs of communities. So some of these examples include like community health nutrition initiatives, yeah, book clubs to help, the personal enrichment, social work assistants, they do get social workers. They try and hire a few that come in about once a month, maybe once bi-weekly if possible, to, kind of meet the needs of people close to the library in any way they can. They also have different youth events, all kinds of stuff. I know they have Taekwondo events, just all kinds of stuff, art clubs, all kinds of stuff that maybe a lot of people don't realize that they have. But anyway, they use kind of like the program assessment outlet of evaluation studies to kind of like gauge the effectiveness of this. They kind of, and this is really important because like success of these programs, like if based on what we'll see in the next slide, if it's good, it kind of determines the level of funding and grants that they can get, which really keeps the library money running. So these evaluation studies are critical. Yeah, these results of the evaluation studies, they also negate effort staff puts into programs. If evaluation research dictates that the programs are doing well, then they're going to put more staff in charge of them. But if they're not, then maybe there's not going to be much staff in charge of them if they're not doing well. So how does that evaluation process occur? Scalber, she stated that statistical analysis is really the true key of it. They look at kind of like the program attendance, door count, foot traffic, stuff like that. They want to see how busy the library is before and after these programs have, and the effect of it. So that's what they're kind of like researching here. They also use like the feedback and surveys. They get the community out opinion of how these programs effectively are being utilized. Like are people enjoying them? Are the people thinking that they're good for the community? They're taking all that into account to determine if these studies, I mean, if these programs are useful, and that's what the evaluation research does. And when they talk about this data, like once they compile it and look at it, they're not necessarily making it like some super serious conversation. They're looking at more casual conversations about the results. It kind of depends on the staff member leading a particular event, though. They get that stuff. They just talk about it and see if they thought that the program worked and if it's something that could be used for the future, so that more grant money can be allocated. Um, she also mentioned to me that they have morning meetings with staff, and this also covers the effectiveness of different programs. They meet together every day, just in a nice, casual, friendly way, to see if, oh, is this program working? Was attendance up compared to other programs? Can we allocate more funds for this? So that's all just important stuff that they do. Let's look at some of the stakeholders of the library. I mean, some of this was already implied, but just to notice, we have the patrons of the library. We have the people. These are the people. These are the people that are using the services, whether it's taking advantage of the books and magazines, computer usage, being a part of different community outreach programs. These are the patrons of the library. They're the ones that are using the services. Then we have the people that are providing the services. We have the library staff, whether it's the director, the assistant director, department leader, circulatory staff. We have IT people there. All the third-party services that come in here. These are the staff that are serving the patrons to the best of their ability. Then we have the board of the library. These are the ones that make all the financial decisions. They're the ones that dictate what Miss Gilbert does to the day to day. These are the group of somewhat elder individuals that kind of take care of the library. We also have other stakeholders like the local and state government, which kind of dictates the policy aspect of the library. We have the donors that fund the library. The Larla Public Library would not be as successful as it is if it wasn't for the niceness of the donors, which have been really caring for the community of Laurel, Delaware. We also have educational community organizations that kind of make up the partnership that the library is able to have. So all these people, they have to all work together as stakeholders to make sure that the library functions. There's a lot of moving pieces that go together that maybe a lot of people don't realize. So I want to conclude this presentation by talking about the challenges that the library has of staying in existence, the supports it has to keep itself in existence, and the opportunities that people can have if they want to work at the library. So getting at the challenges of staying in existence, Gail, she told me about funding. It's hard. I know there's a lot of libraries that are really struggling to even stay open right now. Funding is just hard. If government doesn't want to fund it, then there's only so much they can do to stay open because they are a nonprofit and they aren't making money besides, like people using the printer. So there's also strained resources for community outreach, especially in areas such as Laura where poverty are already remains supreme here. There's a lot of people already using resources, so if those people and resources are being booked, then how can the library take advantage of them? So that's a challenge they face. Also, just having adequate staff. Sometimes they feel like they can be short-staffed sometimes, so it does make it difficult to, just do daily functioning. However, they have plenty of supports to help them stay in existence as well. Once again, they have the generous donors that really keep the library running. They would, I don't know, and she is a no, if the library would be here if without all these generous support that some of these people have for the library. The multiple partnerships provide care for the vulnerable communities, people with the lower socioeconomic status that the library serves. The partnerships they work with is a true support. Also, she also want to note that the well-trained and engaged staff that she has. She notes that these people are really caring. They really want to work as hard as they can to even despite the adversities that they face on the job because there's a lot of patrons that aren't the nicest to staff, taking advantage of them. So yeah, she notes that they're a really big support. Also, looking at the opportunities at library, plenty of career opportunities, whether you're going to be a librarian, you're doing a master's of science in which she's working on it. Um, Service area leads, it's really great for experience and leadership potential. You can work your way up. And even you can go beyond the library. You can work on other nonprofits with that experience as well. I think the biggest advice that she had was to be open to change and that no day looking the same. There's so many different things that pop up with her. She says, so you just have to be willing to just kind of run with it. This is my reference for the mission to value statement and stuff like that where I needed it. Yeah, I really thought it was a very fascinating interview. It was really eye-opening. I really wish people would realize the importance that libraries have because they're important. They're just as important, honestly, as any other social service organization. They really provide a lot of resources for people. And they can be really also serve as a safe space for people who just need some quiet, although not always quiet. Man, that's gonna conclude my presentation, and I thank you for listening.